The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to Horror Hotel, a PapiChuloRadio.com and Apple Podcasts exclusive Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. I am your host and hotel owner, Jeffrey Aruz. We're so glad you could check in. We've been dying to have you. Here on Horror Hotel, we are going to explore some of Hollywood's scariest, most frightening, and creepiest films. Please welcome my co-hosts, Night Manager Legionnaire.
Greetings.
Concierge Supervisor Cynthia Boyede.
It's waiting for me, evil.
Ooh. Night Auditor Mark Estes.
I tried to tell you, keep your feelings in check.
What?
You did. And Guest Services Supervisor Donovan Trott.
Cash tips only.
I don't think that's a line from the movie.
Nope. It's just the way I live my life.
I like it. Before we head on over to the ballroom, let's stop by the front desk where one of our bellhops has a few special announcements.
Good evening. We thank you for your patronage. Please step all the way in, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. I didn't mean to frighten you prematurely. The real chills come later. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR Horror Hotel. Follow Papi Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube, at Papi Chulo Radio. For more information on Horror Hotel, visit papichuloradio.com/Horror Hotel. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@papichuloradio.com. Help support Papi Chulo Radio financially by visiting gofundme.com/papichuloradio. Are you interested in joining the Papi Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@papichuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Papi Chulo Radio programs by visiting papichuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Papi Chulo Radio's Horror Hotel, and subscribe. Now, grab some popcorn and some snacks. You may step into the ballroom. It's time for your feature presentation.
Thank you. It's time to fire up the film projector in our ballroom so that we can discuss 1963's The Haunting. Here's the official synopsis of the film. A scientist doing research on the paranormal invites two women to a haunted mansion. One of the participants soon starts losing her mind. Alright, so y'all know what I'm going to ask you. Who has seen this movie? Who has never seen this movie before? Let's get into it. So let's start off with you, Donovan.
So, actually, this was my first time seeing The Haunting. I did see the 1999 remake a couple of times, but this was my first time seeing the 1963 version.
Ooh. Cynthia?
First time seeing the movie.
Legionnaire?
I have not seen either version.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Alright.
Yes. Mark?
Same as Donovan. I saw the Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones version first. Then I saw this. And this is my first time seeing this.
Okay. And I have seen the 1999 remake, but I had never seen the original, so this is my first time seeing the original. And after seeing the 1999 remake, I mean, it was nothing like the original. So it's just like the same character names, it's Hill House, but other than that, it really is like very different, which I liked because, yeah, and I guess we'll get into all of that right now. So I always like to start off by talking about the cast and the characters, and I mean, might as well pull the Band-Aid off and talk about sort of the character that sort of is the lead. Yeah, Eleanor Nell Lance, played by Julie Harris. What do we think of Nell, Mark?
A mess.
Oh,
Oh my God, where do we begin, Donovan? You want to go
Go.
first?
Do I get to go first? Okay.
Go.
So, first moment I saw Eleanor, I'm not even going to call her Nell because there's no affection here. She was shrill, which is not a word I usually like to associate with females, but she really earned it. She was whiny. She was passive-aggressive.
she's gone through a lot.
I mean,
People were
a lot
throwing
of
rocks at her
us-
house.
Hold on. A lot of us have had to take care of family members, myself included.
Did you have rocks fall on your house?
Did what?
For 11 years?
No, I think the
Listen,
rocks were
stop
only 3
excusing
years.
Her craziness. Stop excusing her craziness.
Yeah.
All right. Even when you said she's driven crazy, she was crazy when the movie started. Like, she was off, like, immediately.
Aw, poor Nell.
Now, I would say this, Donovan. I would say this because when I first met Eleanor, aka Nell, when she first see her, because I read.
You met her at
parts of the
Starbucks?
book. No, I'm talking about you know. I was in her family room. First thing I was like, okay, how are you gonna sit there and let your little sister talk to you like that?
Okay.
Because she, with her daughter, not only was it her sister's husband, and her 5-year-old niece were dragging her.
They were all
three-way
going in.
dragging, and I
Even
was
the
like,
little girl.
that's what I'm saying, that the niece was getting her too. I was like, no, I would have set all their asses out because I felt for her then. I said she needs to get out their house because this woman talking about something. Well, I can't give you my car, bitch. That's half my damn car. My name's on at least 2. Don't play. So when she finally got to Hill House, Hill House, and got to talking to Theodora and all them other people, but then she started doing really
The most?
the most. She was with the shit. I think my sister said she's with the shit. Cause people trying to calm her down, and then they'll say something. She'll snap at them, and then they'll go right after her like, "Oh, Nell, no, you just snapped at me. I'm trying to help you out. No, you go over there, you suck, and you sit down, you calm down, and get your tone right before you come in my face again. Because if I sit there, I'm gonna really hurt your damn feelings. Because I was like, you are doing the utmost. We are all in this together, and we're sitting there trying to tell you, calm down, all this, and you're just going off. Oh, you're a despicable person. You're evil. Who? I don't know her. From this point on, you just spent a night with Nell. No, that bitch can be in that room by her damn self because she was doing the most.
She was all right. So all right. I'll give her a pass at the whole. So during her drive, which we got it very interesting, and it's also interesting that this movie came out 3 years after Psycho because we talked about that scene with Marion driving and you're hearing her thoughts. We got a scene just like that in this movie. Which
We got a lot of
3 years
Nell's
later.
thoughts throughout the movie.
Yeah, and this one was not as effective, and I think partially because the character's thoughts were so scattershot. Like, she was thinking about how great it feels to be free out from under her family, which I get. But then she goes into this whole, like, this must be what homeless people feel like. Bitch, homeless people don't drive around in cars. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
But what about when Mr. Dudley was mean to her?
who? No.
Mr. Dudley.
Exactly.
No,
That-
I mean,
that's
all right,
another
so
someone drag.
I get that part. On that part, even then, she was being really sort of like the point where he's going to open the fence and she just sort of floors it and damn near runs him down. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why is she acting like this? Like, it just
So much anger built up. Because here's my thing, Donovan, because I see where he's coming from. All that anger she was throwing at everybody else in the house, why were you not slinging it at your sister and her family?
Right.
Because they would have got all of that. That was misplaced anger. And I'm like, look, Theodora was a good one. Because I know why Theodora was being easy on her. I love her to death, too. But Theodora was being easy on her for a reason that I want to get into later.
What?
Okay, we'll get into Theodora in a moment, but y'all just went in on Nell, so I gotta give Nell's friends a chance to, like, back her up. So, Cynthia, go ahead. What are your thoughts on Nell?
First of all, Theo was not being nice at all to her. She was
No.
being shady. Like, you know
Thank
those
you.
bullies in school that are like, oh, I'm your friend, but I'm going to throw you under the bus at every moment and tease you because I know that's your weak point. That was that Theo girl. And she needed to go. Like, I wanted Nell and the house and everything in it to kill her, like, the first
Oh my
30
gosh.
Really? Wow.
We'll get into Theo in a moment because we all have, I think, opinions on Theo.
But let's go to Nell. Nell
Yes.
was so sweet. I felt sorry for her. Like, you can see that with her thoughts, I know someone thinks it's disjointed, but then you kind of get to see what's going on with her. Like, you get to see what kind of a person she is, like having such horrible thoughts or weak thoughts. Like, she's like, oh, I'm cold, but she's covering Theo up. And she's just that person who's been so used to taking care of everyone else before herself. And that's what I got with, like, when you get to hear her thoughts and things like that. Yes, she's crazy. No one's disputing that.
No.
But
not at
it's
all.
like, she's such a good person. And I wish, like, all the horrible things in her life didn't happen to her. But they did. And I don't know. I just felt sympathy for her. She's like a broken person who has such
Exactly.
redeeming qualities.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought, yes, I mean, there's no denying that she has issues, but she's just, I think the having the ability to hear her thoughts just emphasized how broken she was. I mean, because she was really a broken person, and and yes, her anger was misplaced, but she couldn't get it out and express it where she was, and obviously she should have, but that was just in character. She had this opportunity to let all that shit out, as fucked up as it was, how she released it. That's what she was doing, and she was just kind of sad, and I don't know, she was sad and worthy of pity for me.
Yeah.
If y'all could just see my face right now.
Oh, gosh. Well,
I mean, what I heard.
Well,
was-
I've seen your face, so I know what that face is already, Mark.
What I just heard from both of them was, yeah, she's crazy, but I felt sorry for her. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
I'm...
I can give you that, because I did feel sorry for her, because she is crazy. But I mean, she's the victim of the forces around her. I mean, I'm not saying that what she did and how she acted was okay, but I mean, she was not a bad person. I don't think that she was a bad person.
person.
I don't think she was. Yeah. That's my thing. It was like, I'm with y'all, honestly, because her home life sucked. That one scene, I want to slap all three of them folks. I want to slap her sister, her sister's husband, and the little.
Carrie was a bitch.
Yes.
Yes, because I was like, how you gonna sit
And
there
little Dora, you can explore your ass someplace else.
please? Because I'm like, why are you in the? And then I had to come to find out that was the living room. Y'all gonna put her in the living room for real?
I love when she was like, y'all get your asses out of my bedroom, because...
Yeah.
No, she said, get out. And her sister was like, how dare you talk to, like, how dare you
It's
talk to
my
me like it's my house? She said, but this is my room and I pay just as much rent here as I said, read them out.
How is she paying the same
out.
rent as 3 other people? Oh,
That's
poor
what I was
child.
wondering. Like,
That's
where
what
you
I'm
getting this money from? Because she ain't have a job.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
did not have a job. Maybe it's the inheritance.
And I'm thinking that inheritance, her sister sitting there knitting like, yeah, I got the money and you're not getting none of it. I'm thinking like, yeah, that's why, see, I was with her up until when she got to the house and then she just started like snapping at everybody around her. I'm like, look, I'm going to kick your ass.
Oh my
because,
gosh.
like,
I'll say I'm in the middle between like the factions of the podcast. I'm sort of in the middle because I felt bad for her in the beginning, but then I got a little bit annoyed with her like about halfway through the movie. The inner monologue just got a bit too much for me. She needed to speak up. Like, I understand you're talking to yourself in your brain, but like you needed to speak up a little bit because you were whispering too much, Nell. Yeah, but there was like I did feel bad for her in the beginning, but she was also kind of all over the place. But I immediately knew when I saw her in the beginning, I was like, she's gonna die because like there's no way this woman is gonna live. No way. So, okay, let's talk about Theodora Theo, played by Claire Bloom. Let's be honest
let's be honest.
with Theodora.
Right.
I mean, she's
Right.
the heroine of the film, to be honest.
Yeah.
What? Excuse you? No?
What?
Right.
Let's be
What?
honest with Theodora.
She was clearly homosexual.
Yes.
She was
Yes.
clearly.
And that's why she was low key didn't go all in on Nell. because
No,
had
she
no liking
wanted
to
she
it,
wanted
you
to
know?
eat her pussy.
Right.
She
but
wanted-
they coulda got her-
These other
so
girls,
she-
she fell back.
Right.
She wanted to scissor.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God.
If she had got her to calm down enough, she would have gotten her panties.
She would have. She would have. She would have because I
She
said all
would
Nell.
have.
all
But
them-
she was like dealing with all that. It's like, oh girl, you know what? I can't fuck with you because you crazy.
Because I just got her a crazy relationship and I don't need
Right.
this now too. So I don't think so.
Right.
You go right ahead. And I'm
No,
like,
she was like, if I start messing with you, the ghosts are gonna come after me.
this is
But
all
y'all,
Nell.
okay, so we hopped, skipped, and jumped over the real MVP of the first half of this movie, who was Mrs. Dudley.
Oh, we haven't gotten to her.
Yes.
We'll talk about her. No, we'll talk about her in a moment. Yes. Why are you trying to step on Theodora's time?
I'm trying to step on Theodora's time, but Mrs. Dudley...
Reclaiming her time. Reclaiming her time.
Theodora's reclaiming her time.
I can see her actually doing that. Reclaim my time.
Because Theodora would like all up get into Nell's personal space. Like there was at one point where I thought she was gonna pull her in for a kiss.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. Because I remember when the 1999 version came out, they mentioned that Catherine Zeta-Jones' character was bisexual or something. I think she
Yeah.
actually said it in the movie.
Yes.
And then because I noticed in the original movie, I went and did some research on it. Like they kept it very subtle. Like when Nell asked her, "So are you married?" She said, "No." And she said but she said it in such a way where it was like, "Okay, yeah, your family, your sister." So I was
Yeah.
like, no, but they kept it subtle. They said just as long as she didn't touch Nell. I was reading up on it, said the studio said, no, we know you can keep it in there, it can be implied, but you cannot have her touch Nell at all. And I'm like, but she was clutching each other in the bed together. I thought they were gonna do something there too, because I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Maybe that's why Nell moved to the couch.
Oh my gosh. Because Theodora was trying to finger bang her.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, no. My
Theodora
heart
trying to get
wants
on her
to-
Trump-ish.
Yes, go grab her by the pussy.
Grab her.
Oh, jeez.
But Theodora as a whole, I just like the fact that to go back to the whole Nell thing, she would just call a Nell out on her shit. That's all there was. And so she
Right.
called everybody out on their shit. She didn't let nobody in that house slide because she had the power of precognition, right? Precognition. I can't
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had this, so she's like, y'all can't play this with me. Like, even though they're playing cards, she's like, look, don't even play me like that. Like, son, give me my money. And so
She was.
she was like just so awesome. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, she still cared for Nell. And that's why I had issues with Nell from day one when they first met, because Theodora took a liking to her really as a friend. Because she could clearly
Really?
read her and say, I'm being dead serious right now, because she really could read her and say that your life has been horrible. Your family life, you know, you telling me all this stuff and I know differently. So she sat there and said, okay, she is very, very fragile and fractured, and I'm not going to just go all the way with it. But she kept prodding. I don't know, just to get the reaction out of her, but I don't know. It irks me because every time she would sit there and say something to her, she would just blow a gasket. I mean, like, she would go from 0 to infinity real quick. And then when she sat there and did that last argument, when she did that last outburst, and then John was like, go after her. And I'm like, first and foremost, don't you put your damn hands on me. You're not paying me enough. Second of all, that bitch can go and sulk. I don't give a damn. I did everything in my power to make sure that her ass sit there and become comfortable in this house. I've done my part, sir. And because I don't know. That's the reason why I had an issue with Nell, because she was really going off on Theo, and I forgot the other guy's name.
Luke.
Luke. She was going off on them, and then but she was like, but John, you're just so wonderful. Oh God. And then Theo was like, when that twist at the end of the movie happened, she was like, I told you to keep your feelings in check. Because he done told you once what time it was. But no, you want to keep going on. But okay, I'm going to sit back here and sip this tea while you sit there and look stupid. But that's just my opinion.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Theo has gotten a lot of love, but I sense a darkness in the Force. And it's coming from Cynthia.
Yes. I just didn't like her at all. Like, yeah, you say you have like, what's the thing she has that she can feel people's...
Lesbian? Oh.
That too.
She can feel their what?
Like your energy and stuff, and she can see stuff.
She's kind of clairvoyant-ish.
Yes, that's the word. And you can see things, like, so you would think that she would adjust the way she treats Nell based on what she can see. Like, you can see this is a clearly broken person. Teasing someone like that isn't the best thing. And she's like, I believe you didn't kill your mother or something like that. If you can really see stuff...
I believe you weren't sad when she died.
Yeah, and I'm just like, why would you say such a thing? Like, if she wasn't so horrible to Nell, I would love her because she's such a strong female character.
But Nell was asking for it at least half the time.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What?
No. She was.
No.
That end scene where she wrapped that car around.
No. But like, even like with the writing on the wall, like she's been teasing Nell the whole movie. So she's like, Nell's like, are you the one who wrote it? Like, I would be scared. And she just was, again, a douchebag to the poor broken Nell. Like, I just don't like her. If you're so strong and powerful and your personality is so strong, you should just know when to use that strength. And sometimes you should know when to dial it right back. With Nell, she had to. I hated her. Like, I really wanted her to be, spoiler alert, the one who died. I did. So,
All right, okay. Difference of it, we'll agree to disagree.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to co-sign with it. We have to agree to disagree because...
Yeah, I love Theodora too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, you're alone on this one, I think.
Oh.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't hate her, but I didn't like her.
Oh, Legionnaire's in the middle now.
I did not like her.
Yes.
I'm with Cynthia. I think since she was so strong in her own center, she should have been more sympathetic towards Nell and less predatory.
All right, so maybe as a person she wasn't that great, but as an antagonist for this story, she was great. She was awesome. She was the perfect counterbalance for Nell's crazy ass. Because at some points, Nell was just so crazy, and you just kept wanting to say, "Why are you like that?" And then here comes Theo.
She had rocks thrown at her house for 3 years.
Right?
Please.
Right, they talked about why she was like that. It was clear why she was like that.
And her mother was
I'm
a
sure
bitch.
Theo has her baggage too.
Yeah, she probably does, but she sat there. She carries that baggage like a Prada purse. She's
Okay.
going like, I'm finna sit here and just like, I'm not gonna let this bag me down. I can toss it over here, toss it over there. But you, honey,
Right.
that's all I see. He was doing like, ooh.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so
Team Theo.
before we talk about Dr. Markway, I guess we have to talk about the Dudleys. Let's talk about Mr. and Mrs. Dudley.
Did we see? Oh, that was Mr. Dudley at the fence. Oh, okay.
Yes, they were married.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't have much to say about Mr.
Do you
Dudley.
think those characters
Dudley?
do you think they influenced Harry Potter?
You mean I
The
thought the
Dudleys.
Dudleys. I
The
thought the
Duke.
Dudleys was the gatekeeper and the
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
just
What do
the
you mean?
names. Like just because
Oh.
both characters are very horrible in the book and the movie. They're awful characters.
Uh,
I don't know, but there were awful characters in this movie too. Mrs. Dudley was a bitch,
all the
Yeah.
way.
So
All
here's
the
the
way.
thing.
and Mr. Dudley was a dickhead.
I knew some of you guys would think Mrs. Dudley was a bitch or she was crazy or whatever, but I honestly think she was trying to warn them. Like
She
when
was trying to
came-
warn them, but
She
she did it in a very
was.
bitchy
She
way.
was like,
But not in a
"Look,
good way.
Right.
Hey, she can't just come out and say this place is haunted. Run. She was like, look, when sun goes down, I'm going back to town. Nobody from town.
No one
is
can hear
coming
you
back
scream.
here. Just FYI. No one's going to hear you. No one's coming for you. All right, do with that information what you will. If it was me, I would have packed my stuff and took my ass right back on outside. Like, all right, thank you.
Exactly.
I will say
Yeah,
I
but
died
Nell thought
laughing.
she was on vacation, so
I will say I know Nell thought she was on vacation. We never talked about that.
It's finally happening to me.
What you say, Jeff?
Nell did think she was on vacation. We didn't really discuss that, but that was
Yeah.
I died every
Yeah,
time
that's
she said that.
She was crazy.
That irked me. 'Cause I'm like, girl, you're not going on vacation. I honestly, God, thought that she was really going on vacation until, and I thought that she was going to get picked while she was on vacation to come to the house. But she was like, no, I got this letter to come to this big, scary house in the middle of nowhere, and I'm going on vacation. I'm thinking like, ooh, girl, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
I did die
Okay, but
laughing
what
though
what
when
does
Miss
that say about
Dudley.
what her home life is if she thought of that as a vacation?
true.
Yeah, that's true. I did die laughing though when Miss Dudley. She basically repeated her same shtick to
Yes.
Theodora,
Yeah.
but Theodora wasn't paying no mind.
3 times.
Warn her ass.
Yes. And how Thea was sitting there being like, oh, this bitch still talking.
Yeah, no, that was funny. And she kept on getting louder and louder. We will not come back.
But I have to give Miss Dudley props though, because she was letting them know I am not here for the fuckery. My times are, my office hours are.
Yeah.
I will be here at this time.
She's like, I'm not
Breakfast is
your
9 a.m.
I said dinner on the dining room sideboard at 6. I clear up in the morning. I have breakfast for you at 9. I don't wait on people. I don't stay after I set out the dinner. Not after it begins to get dark. I leave before dark. I'm like, bitch, you lay that shit out.
Lay it out, right? Now, on that tip, I had to give Miss Dudley that props because I'm like, you let them know that I am not for the bullshit.
She's not the
Y'all-
one.
She's not the one. I'm not y'all's maid. I am here to do my part, and I am out. Then pay y'all dust. Bye-bye. And y'all see y'all. I might see y'all tomorrow if y'all not blooded up all over the damn place.
Right. Then I'm gonna have to clean. That's why she was so upset. She was like, I'm gonna have to clean up these bodies when y'all
Yeah.
dead.
What y'all could have done was stayed y'all ass at home.
Right.
This extra work gonna be my damn husband. I ain't got time. We got time for this. We got stuff to do in
And
time.
then this one crazy hoe coming in here like she at Disneyland. Like,
Oh my gosh.
You know what, Donovan? You're right. She acted like she was Belle at the Beast Castle.
She was on vacation.
True.
Okay, let's talk about the good doctor, Dr. John Markway, played by
Who
Richard
doesn't
Johnson.
wear his wedding ring, by the way.
No, he did not.
I didn't pay any attention to that. Good.
I did.
I did too because they mentioned early in his first
right,
scene that he was married.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were drinking tea or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, where's his ring?
Because the owner
Right.
of the house didn't want, I guess, him to have orgies with the ladies. Because she was very suspicious. She was like, "You're gonna be with women and you're married?"
Right. She's
Right.
like, is your wife coming? He's like, no,
Yeah.
she doesn't like this
Oh.
other thing. That eye roll she gave him.
Was
Right.
severe.
Like, ooh, really?
It was severe. I'll be honest, my mouth is not really like that, but a part of me felt like he should be like, where's your husband? You know, something like that. 'Cause I don't know if that man standing beside her was her husband or her lawyer or
Well, yeah.
so. I was like, you asking all my damn information. Where's your husband? Is he okay with this? And I'm like,
Well,
I
it
don't know.
is her house. Like, you're going to be staying in my house using it for some experiment. I want to know your business, you know?
Yeah, but how much of my business do you need to know, though? Like,
I want to know who's coming in and out of this house and what's going to be going
yeah,
on.
well, you don't.
I can
don't
agree with
know
that. I agree with
in
Donovan.
and out of.
I agree with Donovan. Although her tone completely changed, like once she found out that he was a doctor from like the university, she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, then you can stay at my house."
Right.
And they're the biggest freaks too.
Oh my gosh.
They can get freakish. Hell, her damn was it a nephew, grandson? Hell, he was just like, yo, he told them I'm gonna have a lot of people, a bunch of females in this house. We was gonna do all types of things. But Dr. John, he really believed in the paranormal, and he was like, yo, something gotta pop off because I'm getting laughed at by my
Yeah.
colleagues, and I need something real to pop off. And I sympathize with him though, because that's one thing you try to all your life try to like, prove something. He kind of reminds me of Victor Frankenstein a little bit, but in a better light because he actually cared about the people who he brought into the house. He wasn't just there to sit there and watch stuff pop off and then put people in danger. He was just trying to see something go down and fight his force and be out. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew and respected the paranormal to the point where it's like, you can't play with this stuff like a field researcher. You know what I'm saying? Like in the jungles of different countries in Africa and stuff like that, where they go to game hunt. He just sit back and observe like the tiger or the lion or whatever they're doing. Like they chase their prey and everything like that. But he intervenes because he's dealing with human lives right here. He's dealing with actual people, and so that's why
I actually didn't have much of a thought about him at all. I didn't feel like he was super well-rounded, not in the way that Theodora was, not in the way that Dale was.
Oh no.
I feel like he existed as a catalyst to get the story going, to get everybody to the house. And after he was there, I felt like he was an object of affection for Nell and to sort of keep this story moving. But I didn't really feel very much pull to him as a character. He was the
Giles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say he was the Giles to the Scooby Gang, because that's pretty much what they were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so we've discussed all of... Well, we didn't discuss Luke, but do we really have to?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I will say, because I did give the actor's name, so let me give Valentine Dial is Mr. Dudley, and Rosalie Crutchley was Mrs. Dudley. So, shout-outs to both of you. So, okay, let's get into the actual story. Well, I guess, actually, before we get into the story, we should actually talk about the house. What did we think of Hill House as a set? The inside of the house, the outside of the house, Hill House in general.
The doctor's wife had a line when she came into the house the first time. She was like, "Oh, now I know who the real monster is, the interior designer."
Bruh, when she
Yeah.
said that,
Right. When she laid that out, I was like, ooh, that's an old school read, bitch. No.
I was there like, yes, bitch.
She snatched that house bald.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, yo.
I feel like this is part of where the age of the film sort of loses part of like how scary this movie could be because everything was in black and white. You couldn't really see the textures and all the different sorts of like, you lost some of that. But I mean, it was definitely big and old and it looked haunted. So yeah, I guess it was pretty scary, but I just feel like I wasn't as enveloped in it as I could have been.
I think what they lost in the texture and the color, they gained back in text. Like if you're looking at what was written around the house, like in the nursery where it says, "Suffer little children." And it's a Bible verse, right? It says, "Suffer little children to come to me."
Yeah.
But he like skipped the whole "to come to me" part, and you kind of changes the meaning. So it's very interesting the way they use text to convey how twisted the interior designer is.
Oh, look at you, Cynthia. Props on that.
Thank you.
What's the interior designer? The Crane?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Crane.
Yes. Yeah, he built the house for his wife, but she died before she could enter it.
And then his second wife, that death drop she did. I mean, she was just walking up the stairs and just went douche. Like, they didn't even show what pushed her, what scared her. She just did like a Matrix backbend and fell down the stairs. I'm like, damn, all right.
But for me, the house was pretty much, it was plausible. It was believable. I loved it because the remake, their house was just too big. It was marble. And I'm like, nobody built this house and stayed in it. No. Hey, you know what? All the gamers out there, the house reminded me of the Resident Evil mansion a little bit, from the foyer all the way up until the upstairs and stuff like that, and the different halls we can get lost in and everything. It reminded me of that. But yeah, it was a pretty nice gothic setting, and it was more closed. Like it was big, but it was still small.
Yeah, I was
it
going to say, as big as that house was, it still somehow managed to seem very claustrophobic.
Yeah, that was because of the way they built it, like the weird angles of everything, and I don't know, why would you do that? Like, you have to be really rich to like design a house. Well, that too. Like to design a house with like, okay, weird angles and, the doorways are weird and I don't know. That's too much for my life.
But then we also like get a glimpse of what kind of sicko Mr. Crane was with that book. After reading the book, I'm just like, it makes sense that he will build a haunted house.
Pretty much.
Like, who writes a book like that to his child? It's
disgusting.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was a creepy house. I thought it looked really good though. I thought it was a pretty neat looking house. It would make for a great haunted maze, like during Halloween, if you can survive it at night. Yeah. So, the point of the movie is the fact that Dr. Markway has invited a handful of people to spend the night at Hill House to basically prove that the supernatural exists. Because this is allegedly a haunted house. All these mysterious deaths had happened. As I mentioned, the owner's wife died on her way to the house. His second wife died by falling down the stairs. Then his daughter basically lived as a recluse in her nursery until she was old, and then all of a sudden she died. Then her caretaker ended up owning the house, and she ended up hanging herself. So death basically lives in the walls of this house. And so once everyone arrives, those that arrive are Nell, Theo, and Luke Sanderson, the nephew of the current owner of the house. They're the only people there besides Dr. Markaway, because everyone else decided not to attend because they had researched the house and they got freaked out. Later on, Dr. Markway's wife, Grace, does arrive, but pretty much those are the only characters in the house. And there are numerous hauntings in the house. We have, at one night, there's like these bangings on the walls, and the door has the door handle, moving as if someone's trying to enter it. There's the sound of demonic children laughing. Eleanor gets a message written on the wall saying, "Help Eleanor come home." There are cold spots throughout the house. There's definitely some sort of supernatural phenomena that's happening in the house. What did you all think of how they filmed, whenever the supernatural paranormal stuff was happening in the house, like the close-ups and the camera movement and that kind of thing? Because if we're going to be honest, we really didn't see much. The handle was shaking, and I know at one point when they were zooming in on the door, it did look like the door was I don't even know what you would call that, as if it was breathing or bulging.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
But before that, when they were showing the door, the banging, it just looked like the door. But the sound effects and, I don't know, it somehow made it seem like it was real, at least for me. What did you all think of the effects that were used to make the hauntings happen?
Well, I mean, sort of back up just a second about the deaths that have occurred in the house before all of this starts. So you have the two wives who die in very mysterious ways. One right before she gets to the house, the other one who did the backflips down the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
But then when the daughter dies, she grows to a very old age, and then she dies in a very sort of unsuspicious way, just banging her cane against the wall for her caretaker who was getting it in with the gardener.
She was getting it in.
And then her caretaker kills herself. They sort of skipped over what she was going through to get to that point, but
she was no longer getting it in.
He was like, you know what, I gotta go. And then she killed herself. But yeah, I just felt like that the death of the daughter felt kind of odd because even in narration, they said, well, this is when, things really took a turn. But I'm like, didn't these other two people die in very mysterious circumstances? And then this old lady just dies.
Well, I
mysterious
think
circumstances start again.
I think her death, even though we really don't see any of it and they don't really explain any of it, I think we're supposed to take it as something supernatural was happening to her at the time, and that's why she was in so much distress that she was banging the wall with the cane to get her attention. At least that's how I took it. I don't know if anybody else sort of took it that way.
Yeah, I just felt like there was clearly something. I mean, I focused on the fact that there was something happening to her, and she is just all into whoever she was fooling around with at the time. But I was wondering, okay, what is happening to her? Is there something that's finally catching up to her in the house after she's lived there for so long? And
to me, it just felt like one of those Life Alert commercials.
She's fallen and she can't get up.
Wow.
Screaming for help, "Ow!" But her caretaker's bent over the rail or something. So I don't know. I mean, I just felt that particular death, maybe there was something mystical happening that I didn't pick up on, but it just seemed kind of ho-hum compared to what came before it, and then definitely what came after it.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what happened to all the other folks, I mean,
she could have 90 something, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it could have easily looked like she was just old and had a heart attack.
Right. So
maybe the house liked her.
Maybe the house liked her.
Oh, Jesus. L part 1. Or Nell, excuse me. But as far as the practical
Nell part 1.
Nell part 1. As far as the practical effects go, yeah, the thing with the door I felt was probably the most effective because it was like Cynthia said, it was like bulging out, and it felt almost like it would. And they did something very similar in the remake in 1999. They did a sort of a similar effect where it was either the door or the ceiling, but it was some sort of wood, and it was like bent outward, and it looked like it was getting ready to like explode or do something, but they like pulled it back just in time. So that was very effective, I thought. Like even watching it now, even though it was made in '63, I thought that was a really cool effect. There wasn't much else in it other than crazy ass what's her face's inner monologue, and then the banging, and that was pretty much it. So I mean, I wish there had been more happening to sort of show that something. I mean, Nell was hearing voices, okay, but Nell, she feels like she always hears voices to me. So I mean, it was that, and then it was like cold sometimes. Like, okay.
Well, also something crushed her hand.
Yeah.
She's crazy. It's Nell. She's crazy.
Oh my gosh. She was on the bed, but then she woke up on the couch.
I thought
She
she
could have
slept
been
on that couch because she was
sleepwalking.
afraid. Huh?
I thought she could have been sleepwalking.
Oh yeah, she did
And-
wake
Yeah.
up on the couch.
Yeah.
Well, she's crazy. See, I just boil all of that down to Nell is crazy. Like, it could have just been her experiencing these things, not everybody else.
You know
But
what I
she
was
did
thinking?
experience that with Theodora, though.
Yeah.
That's the only
And
thing, because if they would
Theodora-
not...
Theodora experienced, everybody heard the banging, but in that particular scene, Theodora was woken up by Nell screaming.
No, yes,
That's what
correct.
woke her up.
But if they had not included that scene in which both Theo and Nell were experiencing the banging and stuff, this could have easily have been a movie about Nell, like her descent into madness,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Because nobody else would have experienced it. Because even when the guys came back in, because they stated the night of the banging that they heard something like, or I should say Markway heard something like run by his room, so he thought it was a dog or something, so he woke up Luke and they both chased what they thought was a like a feral dog or something outside of the house. And then when they returned is when they heard the women screaming, but when they were outside they didn't hear any of the banging.
Well,
That
Robert,
was Nell.
That was
Well-
Nell.
They chased Nell outside the house.
They chased Nell outside.
well, the director Robert and the screenwriter, who I can't recall name right now, said they tried to shoot and write the movie in a way where you would question whether or not this was really, whether or not Hill House was actually haunted, and whether or not it was all in Nell's mind, because the screenwriter, after he read the book, he got the impression that the book was all about the descent of a young, mentally fractured woman, and the mental descent rather. And they had to go visit Shirley Jackson, and she had to tell them, like, that's a cute idea, but this is a full supernatural novel.
Yeah.
And so they kind of merged both of them together. I think Jeff just said, Nell and Eleanor being in the bed and they have loud banging. Now both of them heard that, even though Theo has ESP. I don't think, and I could be wrong, and anybody can like say and correct me anything, but I don't think ESP means you can project stuff, but you can't feel it. So you can't feel somebody else's like mental state or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think it stands for extrasensory perception or something.
yeah.
So you can't feel it.
You can't feel it. I thought that was because she could just, well, she could. I forgot. Yeah, she could. But I'm thinking like, I don't know. Let me stop. I don't know. I just know that it was supernatural. They both heard banging. So I'm on the supernatural side because I want to sit there. I wanted John to get his proof that something crazy was going on inside the house. So I'm gonna leave it at.
I think it was both. For me, I felt like Nell being so sensitive and broken, being so broken made her more sensitive to everything going on around. That makes
Mm.
any sense.
Yes,
Mhm.
So she's
exactly.
just emotionally raw, and she's experienced the same guilt that the caregiver has experienced or experienced before she killed herself. So she's just emotionally open for all the badness and the juju to get into her.
Oh,
That's
that's
true.
Actually,
fascinating.
I never
Yeah.
recognized that parallel between
Yep.
Nell and the caretaker.
Yeah, because the caretaker died. Not the caretaker, but Abigail died of the caretaker's watch. Nell
Yeah.
always said how she was the one who looked after her mother, and she kind of feel guilty about
And
her mother
there,
dying.
there was that night
Yep.
her mother was calling for her. Nell
Yeah.
describing
Exactly.
that she was tired, she was over it, she stayed in bed, and then her mother died. That
Yeah.
night.
Mhm.
And did anybody else get when that note says, help me, Eleanor? It felt like, because I think the remake did that in some capacity. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think the remake
recall.
it said "Welcome Home" because the
Yeah,
remake
well,
was
yeah.
different because Lily Taylor, who played the Nell character, she ended up actually being related
exactly.
to yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought that was going to end up being the case with Eleanor because she kept saying, I belong here. She kept saying
Yeah,
how
that
much
was
she belonged
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
like she was familiar with the place, and it just seemed kind of off to me. I didn't get, but I was going to mention back up a little bit about those special effects. For me, I thought that me personally, they still stood the test of time because they pulled some stuff that you can see in certain movies nowadays. It was just effective because it wasn't just like a lot of, musical cues and all this stuff. It was just very muted. You were just there to witness the
Mhm.
horror happen. And to me, sometimes music it helps. Like we said, last time with Psycho, it helps set the mood, but sometimes music can also kill a mood. And I think that the director did a good job by like keeping the music cues very low key because just hearing that banging was enough.
Mhm.
Seeing that door come in like it was breathing was enough. Seeing that stairwell get ready to teeter over, that was enough to send to shred your damn
Nerves?
nerves. Thank you nerves. So yeah.
I like it. All fantastic points. Let's talk about Grace because Dr. Markway's wife ends up showing up and she doesn't care where she sleeps. Like, I don't care if it's haunted. I'll sleep in the nursery. Why not? And so
Yeah,
she
that bag
does.
packed.
She came in shady as hell, but she came in because like Donovan said, 'cause that was my line after the whole entire movie when she sat there and just came for the house, and because the house was just sitting there like like playing with them, like Grace stepped to the house and that house got pissed. Like, look,
You come for the house comes for you.
yeah, like look, you came for me and I don't know you like that. Okay, I don't know you like that. You just showed up on my doorstep. You come to my house and then disrespect my house like that, bitch. I'm finna. That's why he attacked. That's why they attacked the nursery. They were like, look,
Yeah.
and then they yanked their ass out the goddamn nursery, and then
Right.
so
Yeah, but like before, we already knew the nursery was supposed to be the heart of this haunted house living being thing. And then she's just like, yeah, that's where I want to stay. And they're like, no, this is not where you want to stay. And she's like, no, I'm staying here and I'm staying here alone. Like, boo, it's not even your house.
But wait, Eleanor suggested she stay in the nursery because she's
But
crazy.
she was like, no, I changed my mind. Don't stay.
Oh my
But
gosh.
even still though, I'm not gonna put this on Nell. I'm gonna give Nell.
Mm.
Nell's being a bitch because she like, okay, you're getting close to my
Right
name.
on.
She was mad because she's like, okay, I guess I
Oh, you
really
do have a
am
wife.
Southeast.
Yeah, you
Right.
do have a wife. Okay, well, I'm gonna fix this up because she kind of got connected to the house then. But I blame Grace. Now you just sat there and told
Yes.
your husband, well, the news people are looking for you. I just came here to warn you, and I'm not leaving and I'm not leaving you staying here. So my thought was, you came to be with your man. You want to be in the same room with your man. Why are you coming to the house being like this grand dame? It's kind of like what Deb says, learn your place, earn your spot. She came in being trying to be fab. You know what I'm saying? She came in trying to be too fab, but you know, the house like, no, you can't do that. No.
She was too fab for the house.
She's too fab for the house.
Too much. Just too much.
What happened to Grace?
Who knows? That was so poorly executed, in my opinion.
That was probably the weirdest plot point for me
No, but
because
she did explain it.
But that explanation made no sense. She was like, I got scared, so I ran.
And
ended
she
up in
couldn't
the
figure out-
attic. She scared the bejesus out of Nell.
yes,
And
Twice.
didn't ask for help or anything. Like, you see people there. Your husband is right there next to her. You could have been like, oh, my God, help me. She just slammed the door shut. The next thing you know, she's running in the woods without shoes on. Like,
yes.
what the hell? Like, and she never explained it. She explained it at the end, and she made it sound so rational. Like, I just got scared, and I just started running. Like, what
That
are you
was-
talking about?
The
Yeah,
house
but then
scared them
at the
off.
end, she's like, "Oh, I don't know how I got outside." And
But
if
she
you
remembered
remember
everything
when,
else.
yeah, but when Nell's driving and she's like, "Okay," she's like, "Stop it!" Like she's being under control.
Mm-hmm.
She's being controlled. So
But
I
she
don't know.
remembered everything before that, though.
I know.
There was the house planted them thoughts in her head. Because what happened to Grace was the house literally drug her throughout the entire estate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It drug her from field throughout the entire estate, and then it sat and said, "Now get your ass up and learn from this." And here's a little thought to sit there and tell your husband what happened and everything like that. But you just know, don't come to Hill House with that bullshit ever.
You know what? And I will actually believe you, and I will buy that response because they did plant the seeds throughout the entire movie that like the house is alive, because they talked about, you know, oh, it feels like, you know, I'm being watched. They also talked about, I think Nell specifically said, you know, it feels like the house is alive.
Mhm. And then Theo was like, "Oh, does it feel like someone's watching you?"
Yeah.
I think that's the only sensible thing she said the whole movie.
Can I say, I feel like there are things that this film got right that the remake did not, and things that the remake got right that this movie did not. And I think with the remake, the plot just made so much more sense. It just, they strung it. I mean, whether or not it was scary or whether or not the acting was good and all this other stuff is a different story, but the plot was easy to follow. Here, it's like, all right, Nell's going crazy. Outside of that, so much happens and you're not sure, like, what's happening, what's going on, like, why, like, the wife and the whole thing. It's like, yeah, and then the Dudleys just disappear. Like, it just didn't, you know, there was a string, there was, like, no connective tissue between all these different things happening. And also, people were acting very irrationally in a lot of different ways. Like, they got to a point where they were like, Nell, you need to go because you're being very extra and very this, that, or the other. But why wasn't anybody else getting ready to leave? Like, they were just going to pack her up and send her off.
Well, because she was the only one getting the supernatural stuff. So for
And
them,
he needed
they
to
were on
find
vacation.
Grace.
Right. I mean, and the whole Grace thing, it's like, so your wife is missing. You don't call the cops looking for her.
Or the
You're gonna
Dudleys.
put Nell in the car, go home, and then find your wife, and then do, like, it just did. None of it it wasn't logical.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can we talk about, we didn't discuss this, but you mentioned Nell in the car. When Nell went to go and pick up the car at the very start of the movie,
At the garage.
and the drunk garage attendant,
She showed
And
up
then-
every piece of ID she had.
yes, I love that.
Right.
She's like, it is
Library card.
it is half my card, and I got my license, I got my library card, I got my
I screamed at library clock. I was like, baby, they would not take
I
it.
got my voter registration card. I'm
I
like,
got my
"Oh,
birth
really?"
certificate.
They were not taking any ID on your card. That was just a name scribbled on a piece of paper. You should have just kept it.
That man was drunk. He didn't really give a shit.
He was like, take this car and get out of my face, please. My shit is almost over.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Okay, so Nell has experienced the most out of everyone in the house. And at one point, she was going to topple down the staircase, that wobbly one, and she was doing a lot. And they tell her to leave. Did y'all
She
think...
was begging to stay.
I know.
Mm.
So,
Because it was her home and she didn't want to, like, it was vacation time. It was vacation time for her.
it was. So let's talk about the climax of the
Nowhere to
movie.
go.
Was it unexpected, expected? What did you all think of the climax of the film? With Nell crashing into the same tree as the wife of the original owner of the house.
Somebody had to die.
I wasn't especially surprised.
It was just
I knew
so...
she was going to die, but I thought it'd be like a more romantic death. Like, because she kept
You mean
on
her
looking
and
at
Theo
the
kissing?
window, right? And I was like, she's just going to climb up there and fall, and that would be like
Very
her
romantic.
ending. And it would be of her own choice.
Well, I mean, he damn near killed her himself by climbing onto that staircase too, which was another.
Yes.
I was like, why are you up there? You see, the whole thing is about to fall.
Why was
You make it
anybody
safely to
up
the
there?
Top, and you're gonna get your big ass on here too.
I don't like that, Dr. Man.
And then the wife popping through the peephole, like...
It's like boo, and then like disappeared again. Like
I thought it'd be like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
he did brush her face while they were up
Yeah.
there.
Right?
Mm.
He lied to her. He led her on.
That's why.
the wife-
Oh my god.
Exactly. That's when the white popped in like, "Boo, bitch."
What the fuck are you doing? Like, I saw
So
that.
stupid.
In the scene, all right, can I just say I literally started laughing after she died. Not because she died,
Oh my god.
but they were so matter of fact about it. Like, they went to the car, the doctor checked her pulse, and then they all stood around like, oh, well, you know, I guess she got what she wanted.
Yeah,
Blah,
that's
blah,
what she
blah.
wanted.
I was like, so
Yeah.
you're in the house and call the cops. What's wrong with you?
They were like real casual about
The
the
body wasn't even cold. I'm like,
Well, if
That
she
was a
would have put you
mess.
through what they experienced, like, you know.
what?
There was a little bit of side eye coming from both Luke and Theo when Grace popped up, like, "Oh, this bitch." You know, like
Where are your
that-
shoes?
Yeah, like, where are your shoes? Like, what are you doing out here? Oh, she must have seen you when your ass came out. She see you topped over here. And then John was like, well, she did die at the same spot where Crane's wife died. But Theo and Luke like, yeah, but your wife just so happened to come out the woods at this point in time when she's almost at the gate. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Give her the side eye.
But see, this whole scene, them just going through the scenario, like, why are y'all sitting here talking like this? The woman is bleeding out. Go in there, call the ambulance.
She's dead already,
What are you
though. Like, what
doing?
can we do at this point?
That's so weird. Like, all right, so after you
I love
die-
how Donovan is now defending Nell's honor.
I'm not defending her honor. I'm saying, what is wrong with these crazy people? Because it's like, after you die, your brain is still functioning, I think, for a couple of minutes until it finally, like, clicks off. Like, that's like a science thing or whatever. So I'm
Synapses.
thinking Nell probably is still conscious, even though her body is shutting down. If that was me laying in that car bleeding to death, and I hear these fools talking about, oh, well, you know, she lived the way she died or whatever, and she's finally with the house. I'm like, motherfucker, if you don't get your ass in that house and call somebody, drag me out the car, take me somewhere, what are you doing? Like, it just felt so weird.
They probably felt that, well, her sister, her folks did not give two shits about her, so it's not a real rush to get somebody
They
to
didn't.
save her.
Well, technically she stole the car, but
Right.
But it
Now, the
was her
sister might be
car.
more pissed off about the fact that her car is
her
current.
car is total. She's such a
Like, oh, yeah,
fucking
she's dead.
bitch.
What happened to my car?
Exactly. That bitch took my car. It's a one. You know what? When that taxi pulled up, that's who I thought was getting out the car. But her sister like, bitch, where's my damn car?
Bitch, where's my car?
Where's my damn car?
She's been asking around for that car.
Oh, she's so stupid.
It just felt too neat. You know, there should have been a little bit more chaos surrounding the car crash from the bystanders. And also when Nell was in the car and the ghost, I guess the ghost took the wheel. And at
Instead
first
of
she was like-
Jesus.
at first she was like, oh, great. The house really doesn't want me to leave. And then it swerved and Tricia's like, what are you doing? And then I was like, you dumbass. I mean, come on. It just felt stupid.
Yeah, but everyone always has second thoughts, I think. Or it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to die now. And then you're like, wait, do I really want to die? Okay, maybe I do. Like, I feel like that's something.
Okay, maybe I do.
Like, you would have to weigh all your options.
Oh my gosh. Okay, any final thoughts?
No.
Okay. Sounds appropriate. All right, let's check in to see if this film has ever been nominated for or won any awards. And yes, it has. Donovan said, what? In 1964, the Golden Globe, it was nominated for Best Director.
Nice.
Wow.
In more recent times, it was also nominated for a Saturn Award for Best DVD Blu-ray Special Edition release in 2014.
Mm.
But the only awards that count are the ones that we give here in the ballroom. So we will do that in just a moment, but let's check in first on the Rotten Tomatoes Fresh Meter and The Haunting. 1963's The Haunting is 86% certified fresh.
Okay, not bad.
All right.
I expected better, but okay.
I didn't.
Oh, well,
A hater.
let's hand out some awards. And yes, I'm going to start with the Scream Queen.
Definitely my girl now.
Thea.
I give it to Nail.
No.
Thea. I'm giving it to Thea.
What?
I don't think she screamed once this whole damn movie. I mean, she was shook at moments, but
She was
did not-
shooked.
Yo.
Grace,
Yeah.
Grace.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm
because-
gonna give it to Grace too. I'm gonna take that back. Even though Theo she was the queen diva, but then Grace came in and was like, "Yo, bitch, I'm running this shit.
Right.
Your house is trash. This moppet over here who's sitting there doodle eyes over your ass is trash." So she came in and was like, "I fell asleep with this whole haunted thing is trash. Fuck your couch. Fuck your nursery. I'm gonna hit here
Mm.
and see what you do." And then she said they got ass drugs. So that's what divas do. So
Yeah.
The Ingenue.
This is interesting because I feel like Nell was a little older.
she looked a little older. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, true.
So I'm not really sure who Ingenue would. Yeah, I'm going to go with Theo.
Me too.
yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wow, guys, just giving everything. Nell. I'll give it to Nell. She deserves to win.
The biggest douche. I vote for Mr. Dudley.
Really? I give it to Crane because that motherfucker was crazy.
Oh, yes, Crane.
True. But then I give it
Go
to
here.
Dr. Markway.
Really?
He led Paul Nelly on. Like, she didn't deserve that.
He did not leave her on. She made that up.
Yeah, it's like, what's with the face stroking? We know what that means in that time. That face stroke was basically like, will you marry me? In the
Wow.
60s.
He was like, you poor crazy person.
You know what sucks? We haven't even mentioned Luke at all.
I know, but that's what he
Can
gets.
we have an alcoholic of the moment?
Mm.
We
My
might give
douche.
him an award. Stay tuned. The See You Next Tuesday Cunt Award. Mrs. Dudley.
Mrs. Dudley.
Yeah, that's a tie between Mrs.
Dudley.
Dudley and Nail at some point in time.
Oh, wow.
Girl.
See, all right, so here's the thing. I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't think Mrs. Dudley was as bad as y'all think. She was just about her business, and she was trying to warn them.
She was about that
I
coin.
love Theo, but she was definitely the See You Next Tuesday of the movie. And that's part of why I liked her.
Okay, that's interesting. What about the?
But see, I'm not hating on Mrs. Dudley. I'm not hating on her at all.
Nothing to hate on.
What about the lesbianist Lady Pond Award?
Oh, come on. You already know who that did. That's a clean sweep for Theo.
That's a
Right?
clean sweep.
I have
Right.
no objections.
The Queen of Shade.
Grace. I mean, you can give it to Theo too, but Grace
Theo
came
too.
in and was
Yeah.
just, I mean, that one line just, I'm sorry, that one line.
Yeah.
Wait, don't say it
Right.
because right now, the read of the night.
I would give the read of the night to Grace, and I would give the.
What's the
previous
line?
honor to Theo. What?
What is the line you're giving to the read of the night?
So Grace coming in and saying the real monster is the interior designer.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
it.
That was
Yeah.
That was it. I'm gonna write that down in my burn book.
What was the creepiest moment?
Ooh.
When they was in that when they were in the parlor and the monster or the ghost crane them kept bending, beating and coming into the door. That's what creeped me out because
Yeah.
I was like, how they achieved it back in 1963.
Sure.
I agree.
Yep,
So
I'm
do
with
I.
What
Look at
a,
us all agreeing to the same thing.
I know pieces coming into the ballroom. I like it. The That's So Retro moment.
The beds.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say for like the first half of the movie, everyone was smoking all the time, and that's just something you don't see in movies anymore. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is one of those where like everyone has a cigarette. Like that one scene where they're sitting down having tea. Literally everyone was smoking.
Mm.
But Nell does not drink.
Yeah, that is.
Doesn't drink until the end.
Well, yes.
Right.
No, but
Then
remember,
it's
she was like, let's all give a toast. But she's like, I don't drink.
Yeah.
So now it's time to rank the film with our special categories. We've got 5 categories to choose from. You may select one or you can mix and match. We've got the Screamer for a film that is filled with scares. We've got the Gutbuster for a film that is grotesque. We've got the Eye Popper for a film that is visually impressive. We've got the Gravedigger for films that lack scares, and we've got the Mind Blower for overall best in show. Let's start off with Mark.
I would give it a Screamer and an Eye Popper. Screamer because when Grace popped in, when she popped in after on the stairwell, I kind of jumped a little bit because I wasn't expecting it. And Eye Popper because of the set and the special effects that was used that carried over to like the late 80s and early 90s, you know. So for something to be done back in 1963 like that was awesome to me.
Cynthia.
I would give it an eye popper and a mind blown. Eye popper because I liked the camera angles a lot. I liked the use of mirrors too. Like the mirrors were never clean and they were never like set at a straight angle. It was always skewed, so you were not sure at first if it was a mirror or not. I thought that was interesting. And mind blown just because like I always find movies that deals with the topic of mental health to be very interesting, and they did it in such a way that she wasn't completely helpless throughout. Like the last scene, you can see that she actually does make a personal choice to do whatever it is that she does. So I found that very interesting, especially for the time it was made as well.
Nell also was frightened of herself in the mirror.
Yes.
Mm.
Donovan.
I'm going to give this movie a Gravedigger because I was not scared once. There were moments where it was kind of eerie and tense, but I mean, I sat in my house and watched this movie with the lights off, and I felt nothing the whole time as far as like, but I will give it an eye popper. I like the cinematography. I thought the shots that they were getting were good. Of course, the door effect that we talked about. Even the scene where she's lying on the couch and she's like, oh my God, somebody's about to break my hand, which she said like 6 times and never thought to pull away. But I just thought the way it was shot, that close-up on her face, surrounded by darkness. I mean, I liked a lot of the look of the movie. Just wasn't scared of it.
Legionnaire.
I give this movie an eye popper. I definitely love the looks of the movie and the technical things that they did around that. It didn't scare me at all, although it did give me that one jolt when Grace popped out of the trapdoor. Beyond that, it wasn't particularly scary, although it was very creepy at some time. But I'm going to just stick with my eye popper because I did like how it was filmed and how it looked.
I think everyone said an eye popper at least, and I'm going to echo that. I'm going to give it an eye popper just because of, as Legionnaire kind of stated it so eloquently, the visual aesthetic of the film. I'm going to echo what a couple of you said as far as like the camera angles and that kind of thing. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought Hill House was creepy looking, even though it was kind of like a hodgepodge of a little bit of everything, and but I dug it, and it sort of like gave it that air of like mystery and like creepiness and spookiness and that kind of thing. So an eye popper from me. Now it's time to rate the film on a 1 to 10 hotel room key scale. The point system is allowed. And who will go first? I will pick on Cynthia.
Of course you would. I'd give it an 8. Like, I love Nell and everything, but I wouldn't want to hang out with the crew again for a while anyways. So 8.
Donovan.
I want to say a 4.
Oh.
Boom,
I
boom,
didn't
boom,
particularly- I didn't care for any of the characters other than Theodora, and she wasn't the main character. I didn't care for the plot or the pacing. I wasn't scared. Yeah. 4 for me.
Legionnaire.
This one for me, I will give a 7. I did like how it was shot. I like the cinematography and all that. But I also will score it that based on my feeling sorry or having some empathy for Nell. Otherwise, it probably would have scored a touch lower.
Aww. I like it. Empathy towards Nell, which Mark will not give. Mark, how would you rate this?
I'd give it a 7.5. And that's kind of low for me because I love haunted house movies, but I like you said earlier that it seems like the final act of a movie kind of like went all over the place because you didn't, you can follow like, why is all this stuff going on now? You kind of got an idea, but it was still kind of like left me wanting more. And not saying that, plus I thought 2 people were going to die, not just one, because I got spoiled by the remake, which is not a better movie. But yeah, so that's why I give it a 7.5. I just thought it'd be a little bit more, scares, a little bit more depth, but nah.
Well, there you go. I'm giving it a 7.5 as well, for the same reasons that Mark kind of gave, and a little bit of what Cynthia and Legionnaire said as well. Donovan is the outlier, so...
Me and my girl Theo will be hanging out later.
I know, right? But yeah, for me it was a 7.5 just because I thought for the most part the story was okay, like what we got. I mean, obviously I can't ask for more because we didn't get more, but for what we got and from what I can judge, I thought it was okay. The ending kind of did just come out of nowhere, and I would have liked a little bit more of like confirmation that like the supernatural was occurring, or maybe a little bit more of a visual confirmation of what was happening besides like the door, basically. And the weird storyline with Grace kind of threw me as well. I wish that there was a little bit more of a clearer explanation, because if the house was alive per se or something like that, like it would have been maybe a little bit more interesting to have like seen her fall under the house's spell or something like that, kind of like what Nell was experiencing in a sense, I guess. I don't know. I wish that the story was a little bit more clear, but like for the first half of the movie, I liked where they were going, the slow sort of creeps and that kind of thing. I also enjoy a sort of like a ghost haunted house, spooky house type of thing. And so I was here for it up until things sort of started falling apart, and we were sort of left with a little bit more of a vague ending, which I typically don't mind. I just wish that there was a little bit more explanation so that the vagueness would have been easier to interpret versus just like, oh, okay, so that happened.
So was
It felt rushed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have slowed down a little bit towards the end, because it started off slow. Because if you think about it, it took us 20 minutes to get to Hill House.
Yeah. I think also because they weren't sure if it was supernatural or like a psychological
Mm.
thing. If they had chosen one way, maybe it would have been better.
And that's more what the 99 version got right. It picked something. It picked a lane. The entire time you knew Nell wasn't crazy. This house is haunted. Maybe that took away some of the suspense or a little bit of the guessing game that this movie had going for it, but it was a more straightforward story.
I can
That I
agree
would
with that.
agree with.
Yep.
See, look,
I'm there.
Donovan, you can be agreeable.
I mean, yeah, to a point.
Well, there you go. And on that note, please drag your bodies away from the ballroom and prepare to check out. Join us next time for a brand new installment of Horror Hotel. Once again, here's one of our bellhops with a few special announcements.
Good evening. We thank you for your patronage. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PCR Horror Hotel. Follow Panpichulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and YouTube, at Panpichulo Radio. For more information on Horror Hotel, visit panpichuloradio.com/Horror Hotel. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@panpichuloradio.com. Help support Panpichulo Radio financially by visiting gofundme.com/panpichuloradio. Are you interested in joining the Panpichulo Radio team as an on-air personality or blog contributor? Email talent@panpichuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Panpichulo Radio programs by visiting panpichuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Panpichulo Radio's Horror Hotel, and subscribe. We hope you've brought your death certificate. Make final arrangements now.
Thank you. My fellow Horror Hotel team, please wish the hotel guests and the listeners a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Your Uber driver, Eleanor, is outside.
Oh, my bestie.
Thanks for tuning in. You may have checked into the Horror Hotel, but who says you're allowed to check out? Good night.